Unorthodox thinkers of all stripes have faced persecution throughout history, and black conservatives in the current American political discourse are unfortunately no exception. I learned, or relearned rather, this rule quite recently when I posted a commentary to Twitter about Biden's student loan debt forgiveness program, in which I blasted it as a dereliction of duty amongst society and its citizens, an obligation to one's oaths and one's promises. Now, the full video is also up here on the YouTube channel if you want to go check it out. The link will be in the comments section and the description down below. But when I posted that to Twitter, I had absolutely no idea what would inevitably ensue. And of course, what inevitably ensued was a tsunami of vitriol from the political left. Now, I will read some of the comments that I received, but I want you all to know in the forefront, these comments, or at least the people who are saying these comments, are not what's important here. And as I continue to read these comments, I want all of you to understand that this is going to be about a broader issue. And so let us begin. I'll say this as well. In the video, I mentioned that I was 22 years old, and a lot of people had disbelief. So here's one of the comments. One of the comments says, you can see on your screen, the house that you reside in that holds your portrait is 22 years old. Don't lie. With a Photoshop picture here of me looking like an old woman, more so than an old man. Then here's another one that says, this N-word, aging like milk, voice high as S-word for no reason. N-word Shapiro. What the F did he do in a past life to deserve this affliction? Now, I'll mention this. You're not going to make someone look bad if you're comparing them to a magna cum laude Harvard Law School graduate. It's not going to work out very well in your favor. Another one here says, bro looking like he 36, talks like 39 suburban white guy, and voice like 15-year-old debate club kid. No one ever taught this guy how to use grammar. It's fascinating. Another one here, which is quite fascinating, says, I know he's lying. His skin is aged like leather. And then a lady here who looks old enough to be my mother said, the founding fathers wanted you picking cotton, boo. And no joke, you need to moisturize because that's a, let's say, well-worn 22. And really, these are essentially the genre of comments I kept getting. Now, I mentioned to you that in the video, I talked about obligation, I talked about a lot of other substantive arguments, and this was what I kept getting. Let's do it from another lady who's also seems pretty old and who should know better. She said, what did I tell you about the correlation between the way someone ages and them as a human being? You trying to tell me that I'm old enough to have birthed this human? Oh, man. And another one says, if I was 22 and looked like this, I'd never be in front of a camera again. Now, it escalated from mere name-calling to threats of physical violence. This comment said, I want to smack him and his bald head. Another said, and this is more of a death wish than a threat of physical violence, this is a comment thread, he said, have you considered that he's lying about his age for clout? This response says, actually quite possible. That or bro is going to die from stress at 30. Then the next person says, we can only hope that he dies. We need less conservative mouths with empty heads in front of our cameras in our world. Another comment says, I'll beat this bald N-word up. Another one says, the founders wouldn't have even want you to have a platform, nonetheless study politics and philosophy. I mentioned the founding fathers in the video. But here you are because your ancestors wanted a better life for you than being a slave. No wonder you've aged terribly. Your familial astral plane has disowned you. And then there's this comment, which essentially shows more physical violence. It shows the picture of a cinder block being held above my comment, insinuating that they're going to kill me with the cinder block. And then another one here says, 22? You? Ancestors must have snatched your black don't crack powers for being Republican. Now, this individual assumes that I'm a Republican without actually investigating if that's true or not. This shows just how narrow his viewpoint is. Well, and here's another one here. It says, bro, are you really trying to tell people you are 22? You got that Benjamin Button sickness? You you make a witch mad. I'm not going to say what he said. Was this you as a baby? You can see the beautiful picture right there of the wonderful baby. And then there's another one that's quite interesting, and I find this one actually quite intellectually stimulating. If this guy is 22, he's legit done nothing but smoke 5 packs a day, manage 9 corporations, work 3 jobs a day, no holidays except Sunday, except since he was like 2 years old. Even that doesn't seem enough to aid someone this badly. Now, it's very interesting because there have been a lot of uncommon achievements throughout history, like Mozart was composing things at 5 years old, and there have been a lot of people who have invented a lot of things in their youth. And it's also very interesting that he's trying to insult me by complimenting me. A 22-year-old that manages corporations and businesses and has his life down pat that much is probably doing incredibly well for himself, probably has a lot of social status and wealth, and probably has the ability to produce value for other people, unlike a comment of this magnitude. But let's continue on with the rest of the video. Then, this is perhaps the creme de la creme. Hasan Abi, the socialist prophet of Gen Z, not only had something to say about what I had to say, he also talked about me on his stream. Here's his tweet here, "Shut up, nerd," and then here's a little bit from his video on me. When I went to college, I studied philosophy, and throughout my...
Done. No. Don't take it. You don't have to apply for it, motherfucker. Shut the fuck up. There you go. God, what is wrong? Dude, oh my God. Oh my God. Dude, I swear to God, conservatism ages you. Philosophy also ages you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oldest...
interest in political philosophy, with even more interest in how our founders in the United States formed this great republic. And I...
Oh no, come on, bro. Come on, dude. Oh my God. Black guy with the 1776 vibes? Jesus Christ. How do you do that? How do you do that?
always wanted to know, using those principles, how can we live better lives?
What principles, motherfucker? They enslaved black people, bro. What the fuck is he saying right now? See, this is why philosophy is bad, okay? It's a bad major. There, I fucking said it. I know there's a lot of philosophy majors in here. Don't be like this guy, okay?
And then last but not least, a TikToker also had something to say about me. Here's his bit on me as well. But I don't want his handout.
I was gonna leave it alone, but I got to. Ain't no motherfucking way this boy's 22. Okay, black ain't supposed to crack, but this motherfucker done split open. You can't tell me if I don't look in this man's wallet, I won't find an AARP card, okay? And I ain't even trying to throw shade, but he's giving me very much shady pines. You can't tell me this man ain't collecting Social Security. He is 55 at least. And he ain't even sitting at no rolling desk. That's a fucking rocking chair. Bruh, you ain't have no motherfucking student loans since the fucking 60s. You can't tell me.
As someone who does study philosophy, I like to understand, how did we get to this point? Because ultimately, this is not about Christian Watson. Many other people have gotten much worse insults than I have. And by the way, the video that I posted on Twitter, 2 million views, over 2,000 comments on the tweet thread. There are an innumerable amount of instances that are just like this. I only wanted to highlight the most grotesque ones that I thought really exemplify the point I'm trying to make. This is really about how the political discourse has retrograded to a state in which these kind of comments are not only possible to be made in society, but also they are praised by people who are movers and shakers like Mr. Abi, Mr. Piker rather, and so on and so forth. And I think I understand what's going on. Political discourse is only this way because so many people, my friends, are slaves to the passions. Now, you might have noticed in all of those responses, not a single one mentioned my critique of Biden's student loan debt forgiveness. Not a single one investigated the relationship between obligation and the individual and their proper role in society. Not a single one asked themselves, what is the proper role of government and what is the proper role of education, especially as it relates to the dispensation of loans and things of that sort. No one even ever asked, how did the student loan crisis get to this point in the first place? I'll give you a hint, because government subsidies allowed to get to this point. That's a different story. no one asked these very important questions. They immediately had this idea of who I was in their head, not because of Christian Watson, but because of what they think I represent. And then they fill this idea with a variety of assumptions and then use these assumptions to approach me, thus approaching a shadow, a pale imitation of who I am, and not who I actually am. And one would ask, how is it possible for people, human beings, who are vested with the ability to think and rationally consider things, to make such an obvious, glaring, logical error? Well, I'll tell you, it's the passions. Human beings, my friends, are very complex creatures. We have the ability to do so many different things. We feel so many different things. Stimuli can trigger emotions. It can trigger a lot of things within us. There are a lot of different things about human beings that set us apart from other animals in this world. But the chief thing which distinguishes us from animals in this world is our faculty of reason, our ability to think, and even more so, our ability to think in the context as well of feeling emotion. No other animal on this earth has the ability to reason and also to reason in the context of feeling emotion. We are complex creatures. But just like every other animal on this earth, the passions, when they overrun you, can cause you to act erratically in a manner that is not beneficial to the preservation and perpetuation of your life, society, or what else. Which is why human beings have reason to temper and filter our emotions and passions and prevent them from causing us to do something stupid. Well, unfortunately, my friends, political discourse right now has created an environment in which our emotions are exemplified and they are empowered because reason is rejected. Why and how is reason rejected? Because in political discourse right now, the value is tribalism. The value is sticking up for your side. The value is not rationality. Here's the problem that I'm facing, that Larry Elder's facing, that Candace Owens is facing, that my friend Gothics, who went through something very similar, is facing. The problem that all of us face is not that we have done anything wrong in holding the positions that we hold. The problem that we face is not that I, as a constitutional conservative, have betrayed the ancestors or have disgraced anybody. The problem is all of us, or at least I can speak for other people somewhat, but I can only speak for me entirely, hold rationality as a value. I don't believe that reason is simply good because I can use it. I believe that rationality is good because it is the only way that you or I can understand reality. If you can't think, you can't understand reality. But rationality as a value is rejected in the political discourse because rationality cannot exist in the presence of tribalistic temptations. That's what we're seeing here. This is what collectivism does. Collectivism rots the brain. Collectivism prevents you and I and anyone else whom it infects from being able to see the true nature of things, being able to peer underneath the hood and come at a revelation, being able to appreciate reality. Collectivism, my friends, and collectivist thinking is the antithesis of progress. And yet many of the same people who think themselves wise, as the old proverb says, become fools and believing that their allegiance to the collective, to the matrix, makes them a good person, makes them a smart person. The people who responded to me, like a lot of people in politics, are in the matrix. I'm not saying that I have stepped out of this matrix and I understand every single thing. No. But what I am saying is that I interact with politics in a very different way. In a way that is not popular, in a way that is not indicative of the TikTokization, the digitization of our politics. I interact with politics in a way that begs for substance and puts aside shallowness. And I have people saying, well, Christian, all this content, people don't get it. Well, the problem is that people are being expected to get vitriol, hate, and talking points, but not actually understand what they believe and what they stand for. That's what we are seeing here. And the moment someone steps in and says, hey, you're being irrational, is the moment they are called everything but a child of God. But there's hope, my friends. You know, the reason why America is so great is because our founders understood that just because something has been a certain way for a very long time does not mean it has to be this way. And from that premise, they created the greatest political experiment in terms of recognizing individual freedom in principle, not always in practice, but in principle, which eventually translated to very principle-based actions such as the abolition of slavery and the protection of private ownership, so on and so forth. And if a political system can be created from the dust of ideologies like feudalism and absolute monarchy and dictatorship, then I believe a smarter politics, a better politics, a more informed kind of politics can be informed through the same means. We have to hold rationality, the ability to process the world and understand reality in an intelligible way, as an ultimate value. Think about reason this way, and think about rationality this way. If you have a hammer, how can you build a building if you know nothing about construction? You have a hammer, but you don't know how to use it. All human beings have reason, but not all human beings know how to use their reason. And if they, instead of learning how to use their reason, reject and neglect their reason, rationality will not be of value, and therefore they will behave in a manner that is unbecoming of a human being. In a way, the people who are commenting about me are acting in a way that is a great insult to their humanity, because they're not exercising the power they have. They are choosing to stay on low power mode and use the tactics that they have seen portrayed in the culture, thinking that it makes them popular or great or correct or funny, when in all reality, it degrades themselves in the greatest way possible. Because the moment we forget our inherent rational nature as human beings is the moment we enslave ourselves to the worst possibilities that are available. This is not about me. This is not about my age. This is not about anything but the demise of reason amongst man. But I believe that through the project that I'm doing and the project that other people have done, we can rescue reason. The fire of truth burns brightly in all of you, my friends. And one last word before we go. You have to expect, dealing with any kind of topic, especially if you have a particularly unpopular opinion, you must be able to expect that you will get slings, you will get errors, you will get persecution, you will get people with 1 million followers strong, like Hasan, calling you out in an unintelligible way. You will get people mocking you for the most trite and trivial of things. You will get people saying that you are not valid because of something that has absolutely nothing to do with your argument. Ad hominem attacks, essentially, attacks on your character. But there's something that is so very powerful. The truth knows no political background, no age, no sexuality, no demographic, no geography. The truth is independent of all of those things. And the truth is accessible for all of us. Not only that, but the truth is accessible for all of us, especially within the context of the American experiment, because of the added protections that we, all of you who are Americans, share and benefit from. My friends, just like Prometheus, we have to be courageous, we have to be daring, we have to be willing to step outside of our comfort zone and challenge the narratives no matter what happens. Because just like Prometheus, you may suffer for it, but ultimately the world will be a better place for it. For any black conservative or black libertarian, or forget black, anyone who thinks they may be persecuted for their political beliefs, you have to be willing to stand up for what you believe in and access the truth. Because the truth, I know it's cliche, but the truth will most certainly set all of us free. And quite evidently, there are some people that need to be set free from the delusion of passion that has blinded their ability to interact with anyone and anything beyond their preconceived idea of the world. And I pray and I hope those people find their deliverance. Think on it, my friends. If you guys love this video, if you love me, please be sure to go to my Patreon, patreon.com/PhilCWatson, or my PayPal, official cwatson@gmail.com. Be sure to like this video, to comment on this video, to share this video. My friends, I'm never going to stop. We're going to keep rocking and rolling. We're going to keep going. I love you guys so much, and please, you better stay pensive. Bye, guys.